Greetings, Marvel Strike Force fans. I am Cerebro, your community manager, and welcome to your community update. Just in time for Halloween, the Fantastic Four's legendary Spectre Invisible Woman shall be materializing once again. Her legendary event, Now You See Me, is coming soon, so be sure you have at least 5 Sinister Six characters at 5 stars or higher for a chance to unlock her. So while Sue Storm's invisible, can Daredevil sense her? I don't know, I'm lost on this one. Dropping into Blitz this week are 2 featured villains that make their living slinking in the shadows. First up is Nobu, the leader of the Hand, that will be featured in the Master of Ninjas Blitz. And then Venom swings. Excuse me. And then Venom swings into action with the Symbiotic Terror Blitz that is a part of the Waking Nightmare event. In addition to earning character shards for Venom, you can earn fragments for the Fright Light Orb, which is kind of like a nightlight, but, more terror-inducing. Also rising during the Waking Nightmare event are 2 additional bonus events you don't want to miss. During Raid Frenzy, you'll get a limited time 20% reduction in the cost of Raid energy, heals, and revives. Of course, just in Raid. This will really give you an opportunity to take advantage of the Lucid Dream Alliance milestone. And next up is the Train and Gain event, which will give you the opportunity to earn 2 times training modules from campaign nodes. You don't want to miss out, otherwise there will be a train of consequences. For even more details, please go check out our weekly blog over on MarvelStrikeForce.com. Alright guys, I am super thrilled to have with us here again on the show, Mr. Jon Durr, the game director. How are you doing, sir?
Alright, how you doing, Cerebro?
So kind of the theme for the interview today is we did this post back in August, which is a 2020 preview we called Doom Rising, where we kind of talked about stuff that was coming up for the next 6 months, where we are kind of seeing the game going. So I'd like to follow up with a number of the points on that blog and talk about where we're going next. Okay, so ISO 8 is finally out. I feel like we've been talking about this thing forever, and it's finally out in the game. Can you kind of talk a little bit about like the life cycle and like the evolution of that feature in development and eventually to the feature that we finally see in the game right now?
Yeah, for sure. ISO 8 was this idea that we had way back in soft launch, so almost 2.5 years ago, where we knew we wanted to get customization into the game, allow players to create their characters differently than somebody else might create theirs, and really explore that theory crafting space. And so we built that, and we did a play test with it back in October of 2019, so about a year ago. And the feedback that came back was pretty clear that players didn't want that. They didn't want to have random stats and the managing that came with it. And kind of the challenge and thought process of what looks good and what doesn't for this random stat. And so we took that feedback, we really tried to internalize it into our design, and that led us down this path where it was like, all right, players like our gear farming. They like going after that steady progression. They really like the idea of doing theory crafting, of developing their characters a little bit differently. How can we make these things work for Strike Force? And that's what led us to create this new, I think, pretty innovative system for Strike Force. We then did a second play test about 4 months ago, I think, 3 months ago. And
we've had one play test, yes. What about second play test?
Second play test. It was never enough play testing. And the people that participated in that one really liked the system a lot more. It was overwhelmingly positive that we were on the right track. So we took that, cleaned it up, and that's what created the ISO 8 system that you guys are playing today.
Okay, so we've gotten a lot of feedback about ISO 8. What are some of the recurring themes that you've heard, and are you guys discussing any of them as a team?
We really love that feedback. I mean, we asked for that feedback all along. That's what helped make this the feature that you guys are playing now. we're taking that feedback. We're seeing that the theory crafting is coming through, that people are enjoying the steady progression. So that's great. We're seeing things like, hey, maybe the system's a bit complicated. We're going to keep tabs on that. Like, how does it evolve over time? Do people start feeling more comfortable with it? Does it not get clearer over time, and we have to make some adjustments? So keep letting us know on that front. One of the things that we're immediately acting on that we had no plans to do, but the feedback had come up, was, hey, those little white trait icons next to the ISO classes or ISO crystals, they're not clear. It would be great if there was some color variation in them. And we're looking to add that in now as part of that feedback. We've always intended to get out being able to save your classes for arena defense. That didn't make it in the first version, but we're also hearing your feedback that you really want that, so we're going to try and get that out as soon as possible too.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of improvements that you're looking to make based on feedback. Are there any further improvements, and where's the feature going next?
Yeah, this is now a new system for us, and the tier 1 ISOs are out. Sometime down the road, we're going to get out the tier 2 and new classes and extend the existing classes and allow for more theory crafting. This is probably going to come out sometime the next iteration, sometime in the spring of 2021. But that's all subject to change. But we're going to look at continuing to evolve the system and give you guys new toys to theory craft with.
Okay, so a funny little thing happened a few weeks ago. Players are playing the game, and all of a sudden, in the Blitz mode, there was this little button that popped up called Sim. And it was in the game for about 10 minutes. People found it, they were using it, and then it was gone. What happened there, Mr. Durr?
Yeah, so we've been working on this for a while. Like we've heard the feedback and we've talked about it a couple of times now on the roadmap, and that's low quality time and as it relates to Blitz in particular. And so we've been trying to come up with a plan of how do we make Blitz a tighter experience. There's some really good things about Blitz. It lets you use your whole roster. It lets you just go in and play with your collection differently. But it's a real big time sink. And how do we shift that to be more fun, more engaging? And that's what led us into the real-time arena space. But before we get to that, Blitz Sim now does something really fun with the game where for those that got to play it for that 10 minutes, you'll be able to attest to this. It becomes this kind of rapid quiz of how well you know the meta. You've got your defenders team up, and you get to cycle through 3 opponents, and you're like, they can't beat Asgardians, they can't beat the shield team, but they can beat the hand. Let me fire off against them. And so you're just kind of cycling through really quickly, trying to get as many wins as you can, based on how well you know the meta, and that's really fun.
So the community really went wild for this. Like the subreddit blew up, Discord blew up, like everybody was talking about this. When are we expecting that we could get the final version of that Blitz Sim in the game?
Yeah, like we announced in the response after it went out, we're hoping for December of this year. We've got a lot of work to do. We want to get that done. We want to get that in good shape. And we're trying to make this new mode of real-time arena to come out at the same time, so that you're having fun now playing with this new mode.
Okay, so I want to circle back on something you mentioned about competitive real-time arena. I think we called it real-time PvP in the blog post. What's the current production looking like on that feature?
Yeah, we've all been kind of playtesting that together live, right? We've done the draft, we've done the quick play, we've done classic, we've done balanced. And the whole time, like we came out and said, we need your guys' feedback to help make this mode the experience that you all want. And you've been great about providing that feedback. So some of the things that we've learned is, by and large, people like fighting against other players. That's good. The draft, though, is a real big divide within the community. A third of you guys love it, a third of you guys hate it, and a third of you guys are kind of indifferent. It's fine, take it or leave it. So that's helping shape, like, all right, if we do draft, let's make that an optional thing that players can participate in. have fun with separate. How do we get something that speaks to everybody? Well, they like the quick play. They like the time was a big part of this, right? I want to be able to get into my matches quickly. I want to be able to get to those quickly. Make a feature that supports that. So we're looking at the quick play and how to deliver something there. When we played it, as we've been doing the playtest with everybody, those matches got stale. You just fought against Black Order for the most part all the time. So our challenge
at
now
the high
becomes
end, you did, right? Yeah.
At the high end, yeah. Right? You're fighting against the same squads, and you're using the same squad over and over again. So what do we do to shake that up? And we're actually inspired by a new feature that we're going to pair this with, and that's battle passes. And for those that don't know, a battle pass is kind of a new reward system with challenges to get those rewards. And we'll be looking at missions that are kind of like do damage with Sinister Six, or do damage with bio characters, or knock out so many characters on the opponents, win a couple of matches. And by doing that, you're gonna be bringing in different characters because your missions are saying to bring in different characters. Your opponents are going to bring in different characters because they have missions that are encouraging that. And the mode becomes more about how do I progress through to complete my battle pass, and less about wins and losses, which was at best 50-50 because of kind of the nature of the beast.
And that's something that's different than daily objectives, right?
Yeah, these will be new challenges within this mode.
So then, but I don't have to necessarily do it like that day. I can, if I'm thinking about where I've seen battle passes before, I maybe get a couple of days or a couple of weeks to do this stuff.
Oh yeah, these are going to be a combination of the two. It'll have long-running challenges that maybe last a week, and then ones that last the day. So if you played Valuable Lessons, right? Valuable Lessons had you doing a few attacks every day during that event that we ran in the game. And that went over very well with everybody. Everybody enjoyed that experience.
Cool.
And so it's kind of pairing some of that where I've got to do, so many fights to complete my daily objective. And then I've got longer running ones that I can complete at my own pace throughout the week.
Okay, so next in the blog, we talk about Gear Tier 15 and about how it's going to be the prerequisite for the next iteration of Dark Dimension. Now, once again, we've gotten a lot of feedback from the community on Dark Dimension 3. What are some of the learnings from that the team is taking into consideration when designing DD4?
Dark Dimension 3 has been really informative, and the feedback that we've been getting is great. So if you go back, if you rewind the clock, with Dark Dimension 2, we leaned into health, right? And the nodes had a huge mountain of health that you had to chip away at to defeat. And that was cool. That was fun. But the matches took a long time, and we wanted to see if we could change that experience a bit. I think there's some real good benefits if you get back into the cosmic, the city nodes of DD3. Those were a really positive experience. But the upfront nodes where you're using all your characters, and specifically Phoenix, right, was the problem here. As we tried to, that's right, make it a challenge, but factor in Phoenix. It was a challenge, right? It's a challenge that we're all going through that makes this hard. But we want to try and do better on the next run.
So what about the traits for DD4? Is that going to be the same as from DD3?
The traits are going to be, kind of the next step in the challenge. So with DD3, you had City, Global, and Cosmic. And with DD4, we're introducing a new one, Legendary. And what that's allowing the team to do is balance the nodes, more appropriately to solve the Phoenix problem that was introduced with DD3. So you'll be taking on City without legendaries, and Global without legendaries, and Cosmic without legendaries. And then you'll have the opportunity to use all your legendary characters as well, separate from the rest.
So you mentioned the Phoenix problem. Is that just basically because she's Omega level mutant and so powerful, she was kind of like this, if you'll pardon the pun, this X factor of how do we design something that is fun and engaging while still allowing players to use this ultra powerful character?
Yeah, more like how do we design something that's intended to be a challenge when Phoenix is just this nuke that keeps going off,
Right. Okay.
And making that a challenge.
One of the other features that we mentioned in the 2020 preview is that we're taking that raid difficulty selector that we're using in the Ultima 7, and that we're going to move that over also into the Greek raids. For those of you not aware, it's the Alpha, Beta, Gamma. How's production coming on that? And can you give us a little bit of a preview on it?
Yeah, the mode's coming together. What we're doing here, though, is a bit different. We're actually one of the ways that we're increasing the difficulty on these higher end Greek raids is we're going to remove the ability to heal your characters. So it's going to be more about utilizing your characters to the fullest. Kind of paying attention, making sure that you're strategizing correctly in combat, so that your characters stay alive and move on to the next node. And if they don't, then you have to go deeper into your roster, giving you a chance to use more characters. It's not about just build 5 characters and then heal them constantly through the remaining nodes. It's kind of a paying attention to the attacks that you're doing on those nodes, and having good replacements in your roster to fill in the gaps when somebody goes down.
And when you say remove the ability to heal, you're talking about in between the nodes, not in battle, right?
Yeah. No, it's going to make healers in theory even more important. But yeah, it's the currency that you use to heal those characters. Now, that currency is still going to be useful in the other raids, the Ultimus raids, right? You'll be healing your characters and using that there. The Greek raids will now get a different challenge. Missions that you've been playing up to now, they're not changing. They're not going to get harder because of this. This is only for the new content where it gets this new layer of challenge.
So you mentioned that, and I'm thinking, is that going to make the healer class in ISO 8 even that much more important? Are you anticipating that, even more so now, that the healer class is going to be really important to build up?
You know what? I don't know. That's for you guys as players to find out and discover, and think about the traits that are allowed for those nodes, what the best comps are, what the best ISO classes are to take on this challenge. That's kind of the fun of this puzzle.
And the last thing I want to call out specifically from that blog post was squad management. That was something that we called out, and we mentioned that we were making some improvements there. So one thing that we did recently is we added the ability to filter by traits in the squad select screen, which was much appreciated. I know, even just by myself personally. Are there further improvements to squad management that you guys are looking into?
Yeah, and squad management's one of those things that there will always be improvements and adjustments as we add new features to make sure that we're kind of building the right experience overall. The next thing that we're hoping to get out before the year comes to a conclusion, and it's coming in hot right now, so hopefully it'll be there. If not, it'll be early in 2021. But we want to get in the ability to manage your save squads from the roster, and this is something that I know the community's been asking for a while, and we love the idea. So you'll be able to, just go into your roster, manage all your save squads, hopefully just tap on the characters in the save squads and go to their character sheet and level them up right there, that sort of thing via the roster. We hope to get in some more features, but that's the one that we're looking at right now.
And finally, I'm always probing, trying to see if I can get a little bit more information out of you. Can you give us a hint as to one or two of the new characters we can expect to see by the end of 2020?
Yeah, you know what? I'll say this, Cerebro. Heroes and villains come in different shapes and sizes.
Sizes, you say? Interesting. All right, well, thank you so much for being here, Mr. Durr. It's been a pleasure having you, as always. And I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot more in 2021.
Yeah, thank you again, Cerebro. It's always a pleasure. Thank you all for making 2020 such a great time with Strike Force. It's been a blast, and I can't wait to get some new features and new characters and new content for you all to play into the game in the future.
Hello, Zeke's here, your friendly neighborhood community specialist, and I'm back to give you what you crave, the Community Spotlight. We've seen a lot of amazing tributes to Chadwick Boseman the past few weeks, and this piece by Citron from our Discord channel is another standout. All pencil, no ink. What do you think? Speaking of ink, if you've noticed that half your neighborhood has mysteriously gone missing from existence, that may be due to Neroff's Infinity Gauntlet tattoo. Next up is the man, the myth, the legendary MCU extra Stan Lee. As the old saying goes, with the great power of photorealistic artistic skills comes the great responsibility to share said skills with the community. Discord's Cloud87 and I are answering the call, so enjoy this marvelous piece. Over on the Marvel Strike Force Players Facebook group, if you've ever wondered what it feels like to claim the #1 spot in Arena, just ask JT. All you have to do is be his Arena defense team to ask him, and nobody's going to rescue you from Dover John's ISO 8 Infused Rescue, who's already maxed out at level 5. And no, Dover, I don't think you're the only one with this idea. And rounding out things on Facebook, it looks like there's no strings attached to Everett Beretti now that he's unlocked Ultron. Congrats, Everett. Just don't let the sentiment AI know he's in a mobile game. That might upset him. Finally, we're putting a spotlight on Mobile Gamer's Twitch channel this week. Be sure to head over to www.twitch.tv/mobilegamer365 and give him a follow. And check out his offer reviews where he gives his thoughts on the latest deals in the Marvel Strike Force store.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to hit that like button down there to let us know if you enjoy these Strike Time episodes, and be sure to share the video with your alliance mates. We'll see you next time. Oh, look at that. It's my mom. She wants to do a video call. Hi, Mom.